Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kurt Clendenin here with KaPow Intergalactic Film Festival 2021. We have our Q&As going on here today. We have Eric. Is it Bissel or Bissel?
Bissel, like the vacuum cleaner that I'm not part of that family, but
No wonder you get all your movies funded. You're part of the Bissell family.
that's right.
We got Eric Bissell here from Pete Carter, cat psychic and detective. Eric, the first question, of course, I got to ask you is: do you have any cats of your own? Are you a fan of cats yourself?
I'm a big fan of cats. I do not have a cat because my wife is allergic. I had one all growing up, and he was awesome. He lived to 18. So it's always been a love and a soft spot of mine. And the cat in the movie is actually Pete Carter's, and his name's Austin Cook, and that's his real cat.
Oh, that's fantastic. Which is interesting because this comes back to one of my questions or one of the things that I noticed about the movie. I think it's so funny that that his character doesn't seem to have a cat in the house, but he's just he loves cats. He's always got his cat tie on. He's got his cat shirt, and I just think it's so awesome that his pregnant girlfriend or wife is just puts up with it,
Yeah.
ever since he helped her find her cat. Oh dude, I and you know what, this is what's so funny too is that his psychic abilities, one of the funniest things that I noticed was that he tends to find cats near or in trash cans. He
Right.
tends to find cats near the garbage or in trash cans. Like at the end there, where he pulls the cat right out of he opens up. Oh, here's your cat. He just pulls him right out of the trash can. Just so brilliant, man. So
Thank
many
you.
funny little layers that you put in there. Now,
Thank you.
um, so okay, in terms of locations, you pretty much have one location, but he does kind of go around to a few different places. How did you find the locations?
Basically, everybody in the cast pitched in a location too.
And isn't
So
that cool?
Pete's apartment is actually the guy that's the banker, Steve.
Oh
That's
yeah,
actually Steve's um, apartment. And then the woman that's looking for the cat in the commercial that she's got the flyer, that's actually his girlfriend, fiance. So that's their apartment together.
dude,
And then
brilliant.
Megan Miranda Matz, the Moon Cats, the social media girl, that's actually Austin and his pregnant girlfriend, who's his now wife, and they're expecting another child. That's actually their apartment.
Dude, the movie magic
Um,
is flowing, huh? You just
yeah,
don't know.
so we begged, borrowed, and stealed every location we could to kind of keep it, real lean and to try to give it that real documentary feel. And then the office location was the DP. That was his place of employment. So we were able to kind of sneak in there at like 7 o'clock at night and shoot till like 2 in the morning. So
Dude, it's so interesting because like when you're making independent films, um, one of the things that I keep coming across, and one of the things that I think is just a golden nugget that I think is important for every independent filmmaker to remember, and every guerrilla filmmaker is the idea of going, okay, what resources do you have, and how far can you stretch what you already got, what you already have, what can you do within this? Some of these filmmakers are writing their stories based on specific locations, which is also such a brilliant idea. So did you also write this?
yeah, yeah, I wrote
Okay,
it.
so when you wrote this, were you already kind of imagining in your brain like, ooh, good, this would be a great location. Oh, that would be a great location.
Yeah, exactly. It was, yeah, I mean, I kind of was brought up with a independent filmmaker director when I was like 22, and he did like some time period pieces and spent way too much money for like a 5 minute short. So from the beginning, I kind of like always had like, okay, what can we do with almost practically nothing? And so that's like basically the whole thing started from the idea of him trying to pitch this really stupid idea to like a guy that's like a mortgage broker basically and has nothing to do with investing, because we knew we could get into an office. And then the rest of it kind of like spawned from there of all these little spaces that we could use and kind of make it, we wanted to take social media on as kind of like a satire piece, to kind of talk about how people use social media and just manipulate it. And, it's not always what it seems. So then it kind of was like, well, we can just use the apartments that we have access to. So it, that's where it was born.
Wow, man, just that sign of resourcefulness. What I think what that does is it trains a filmmaker to then now that they have that experience in their brain, they have that foresight for the next project that they're working on. They're like, okay, it doesn't, it never hurts to ask, like it never hurts to ask. And then it's very surprising, when you're like, oh, by the way, do you think we could shoot in your office? Or, here's this funny little office scene we're thinking of shooting. You think we could shoot in your office? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If you're not worried about coming in at 10 o'clock and shoot until 4 a.m. No, not at all. Sure. Let's shoot in your office, And it's cool when you give people the opportunity to say yes, right?
Yeah.
It's because you never know what kind of secret doors that's going to open up for you.
It's very true. Yeah, the office that we used, my buddy's boss was like, that's, people just love that you do other things for fun. Like it's such a passion thing that they're like so happy that you're like, oh, you're doing like cool. Like go have fun. Like here's this resource, do it whenever we're not there. And it's kind of amazing. Yeah. It's like cool how people kind of come together for community of filmmaking.
Well, and what's so fun too is that these are great stories they get to share with people going, dude, they shot a movie in my apartment, or holy cow, this office, there was this crazy scene that happened here, and then that leads them back to your movie, which by the way, I thought was so funny where Pete Carter goes in to get like $1 million loan, to start up his business. And then it just so happens that the guy behind the desk happens to be this huge, Shark Tank, what is it? Mark Cuban. He's a huge Mark Cuban fanatic. So he's oh, you know what? Maybe this is my opportunity to become my own Mark Cuban. This is my Mark Cuban moment where I get to then, put my stamp of approval on this guy. Did you have that sort of was that something that you intended in there?
Yeah. Like it was definitely, so the reading started with James, who's Steve, and Austin, who's Pete. We kind of just started reading like maybe a year before we actually shot. And we just kind of were just sitting around and reading it and kind of spitballing about this scene. And just the idea that people, the social media obsession with reality TV shows, just how people aren't really rooted with what they should be. So that's what brought us to him. Like maybe if I'm obsessed with Mark Cuban, we're like, yeah, that works perfectly. So all the little pictures on his desk, and like, there's parts that aren't even in the film. I mean, we shot all this extra interview stuff with him, just obsessing over his Shark Tank moment, and like, it's just like this little guy from Queens that wants, everybody wants that opportunity to jump into the mainstream. So that's kind of where it was like, all these people are obsessed with trying to, become famous or their next moment.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And it's so funny. I saw it like I gotta say the details and the layers in production design that you're doing in there. And even if something was only seen for a split second, like the Meowja board instead of Ouija, the Ouija board, the Meowja board, like just those little tiny things. Even if you only see it for a split second on screen, you're like, oh my God, that's awesome. They thought to put that in there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they didn't have to, but they did. And then that itself becomes its own character, which I just think is awesome. You guys did such a great job, like maximizing your locations. One of the things that I was curious about was how much of it was improvised and how much of it was written. Because a lot of times, writers will, they go through all these processes to try to create what they're creating. And then when it comes time for the shooting day, there might be some brand new thing that happens up on set that you did not anticipate a year ago when you first started writing a thing.
Yeah, it's like probably about 50-50 is improvised versus written. I've worked with Austin for like almost 10 years. And like one of the first films we did, he just started improvising all this stuff. And it was just like, wow, like as a writer, it's like, you're just engulfed in the screen. And then when you actually shoot, you're like, this is coming to life. So to me, it's always been a fluid, like, this is what's on the page. And everybody was really cool with just like, just let's try that a couple different ways. Like, I'm not like somebody that's like, no, it must be this way, because that's where some of the best stuff comes from.
Absolutely. And the fact that you're fluid with it, the fact that you allow for your actors to improvise and to explore it themselves is such a huge gift. Like that is just, the worst thing is you don't want to be like the Michael Bay tyrant, type of dude. And it's like, I'm glad he exists because we have him as sort of a model, of like maybe what not to do. But the idea of giving your actors that ability to be able to improvise within it is just such a great gift to them, because then they actually feel like they're really co-creating this project along with you.
And that's like what, you know, like Steve being obsessed with Shark Tank, it was like you give them like some basis in reality. Like you have kids, like this is your backstory, and you know, just kind of go with how it feels in the moment. Like, you know, this is a real situation that we're filming. Like I'm behind the camera with a DP and that's it. So it's like it's supposed to feel like we just walked into the situation and you guys just do what you do. I mean, that bank interview is like, I mean, we could have cut together a 30-minute short film of those two just talking.
I could
So it,
imagine. I mean, the cool thing too is that they had a really good rapport on screen. I mean,
oh
everybody
yeah,
had a great rapport with each other on screen, which is great. You know, that's like, I think when you're able to see a movie and you can see that there's more going on between the characters than there is just the dialogue. It's not just dialogue, but there's something behind that, you know, and you did a
yes.
great job helping cultivate that
Thank
atmosphere
you.
for your movie.
Yeah, thank you.
So, how long did it take for you to shoot this movie?
We shot it in 4 days.
Dude,
So it
you
was,
got to feel proud of yourself for shooting a
yeah,
movie in 4 days.
yeah, it was, my wife was gonna kill me. I had like, cause I did all the production design too. So I had little
My wife was
bags.
going to kill me.
I had a bag for every day. So I had like a quarter of the apartment. This is Saturday shoot. So this is all the props we need for Saturday. This is Sunday. This is all the props we need for Sunday. So when it came to shooting day, it was just like, okay, I'm going to walk over this corner. Everything is here. It's ready to go. And then walk out the door, go shoot, come home, you know, put it aside, and then just keep, you know, we compartmentalize everything. I've done a few films. So it's like, to me, it was like being organized and being prepared from every aspect of everything that can go wrong was really where it all came from. And we all, you know, I had in mind all those little layers and I storyboarded and kind of had like all these characters have their own little, because like there's the whole thing with Megan Miranda Matz, like she talks about like how she has like cat chakra classes online, and like there's all these things that never get covered in the film just because it didn't fit with the story. And it's like, but that's kind of was the idea, is just to create these spaces and let the characters live in the space and explore the moment.
Well, it was funny too because it's like you could tell like how obsessed she is with Instagram. She want like any chance she could get, she wants to let everybody know how many followers she has. And it's funny because like the scenes between them, it's like it seems like at times they're trying to out cat each other. Like they're,
Yes.
you know, like there's this like thing of like, well, you know, my Instagram is named this, you know, and then he's like, well, this is my cat idea. And so it's almost like they're trying to, there's like this subtle little like who has more ownership, over being the obsessed cat lover,
Yeah.
you know. And
Totally.
it was just such a funny little thing because he's like, no, I'm not going to charge you, but hey, could you give me a shout out on your Instagram? And all of a sudden, then the gears change with her, where she's like, well, actually, people pay me to do that. It's like, well, just take the $500 you're going to give me and consider that your payment, lady. You know, it's like
Right.
she just wasn't seeing the value of the bartering system in action there. You know, there was still that thing of like, well, you know, I got millions of followers, so you know, I really, you know, get paid for this stuff. So it was just, you worked in those little layers just awesome, and the fact that he's got the oh gosh, what is it called? Meow
Maybe
space.
yes.
Meow space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meow space. Yeah. I mean, that in itself, like, I could totally imagine you just making one of the, like, making that website as just a joke website, but it actually taking off like crazy. Because,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, how often do you find yourself? I mean, I find myself scrolling through, like, and every time I'm on TikTok and I see someone with a funny cat video or something, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, that's awesome. Or on YouTube, there are those compilations of cat videos, you know?
Right.
You know that culture exists out there who just go crazy about showing their cat pictures to each other. There's something on
Absolutely.
TikTok where there was a Zoom meeting that was going on between two dog friends. So the dogs were actually, so up on the person's big screen TV, they had, you know, the dog's friend up there and they're
Oh
howling
yeah.
to each other, and it's like, holy cow, dude, they're total friends and they see each other up on the screen. Like it's
It's
amazing.
it's true.
So it seems like you're very far ahead of your time without even realizing it. You're far ahead of your time, you know, in inventing this thing. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
okay, so what are some of your other, you know, what are some of your upcoming projects that you got going on?
Right now we're working on writing a few things. We've got like a kind of mockumentary ghost hunter kind of script that we're working on. So it's in the works. We just had a kind of a big life change. I left New York City and came back to Cleveland. So uh, just kind of shifting gears in life from all the COVID and kind of settling in. So there will be projects will be coming, but you know, our lead actor is expecting another baby. The other actor is getting married, so we're coming soon. But it'll another mockumentary is kind of been our strong wheelhouse of character creation and probably going down the road of you know, psychic abilities and ghosts kind of. So
Brilliant, brilliant. You can never have too much of that stuff. That's why I think your movie is just so great for KaPow Intergalactic Film Festival because it's all about, you know, thinking outside of, well, not even the box, but just thinking outside of, you know, just what a sort of these aren't bland movies that we're accepting in the festival.
yeah,
These are extraordinary, you know, either fringe theory. Like just the other day, I talked to someone who had like a UFO abductee movie. So it's like I feel so happy that people feel safe with submitting such, you know, surreal material like yourself. I mean, this
yeah,
is just
that's
like cat psychic. You know, the whole time where he's going, he's by a trash can. I mean, dude, it's just great, man. He's getting the visions. It's great.
thank you.
So
Yeah,
I'm
we had a lot
thinking,
of fun.
so I'm thinking now that you moved to this brand new location, you know, you might find yourself with a lot more helpful people than you ever realized because, you know, New York, Los Angeles, these kinds of places, they're like, well, you know, those are like the hot spots for movie making places, you know. So a lot of
Right.
times people are like, "Oh, you want to shoot out in front of my house? That's $4,000." And you're like, "Well," but I'm sure out in Ohio, people are like, "Holy cow, you want to shoot a movie? Use my land, you know, or
Yeah,
here, use my house." So
absolutely.
you might find things coming together much faster than you even
Yeah.
expected.
And again, you know, it's such an art where it's like it never leaves you. It's like even wherever you go, like when I was younger, I thought I had to go to New York and, you know, I had to be to this place around this energy. And it's like, well, if it's something that you just do, like if you're a writer, you write. Like if you're a filmmaker, you just do it. Like it doesn't go away. So we're excited for new opportunities. And yeah, there's a whole nother world out here that I'm excited to explore. So
So what are some of the earlier themes or movies that you've created?
one of the first I did was was trying to do like an MTV like 20 somethings move to the city and kind of like a stoner comedy thing. And that was like really long and convoluted. And then the first character thing we did with Austin was called The Bathroom Attendant. And it was about a guy who wants to be a bathroom attendant, but he can only find work as an actor.
That's
So that was like,
great.
he kept getting kicked out of all the bathrooms he worked in. So that's kind of what walked us down the road of exploring these character kind of ironic situations. And then the next one we did was it was actually in KaPow in 2016 was Man Child of the Kitchen. It was about a guy who wanted to start his own reality cooking
Dude,
show.
yes, yes. Oh my God, yes, I remember that one. Yeah. Oh my
So
God, dude.
so that's always been kind of like Austin's been a good friend for a long time, and he's kind of been an inspiration to just kind of explore like these like kind of immature characters that are trying to go about things in the wrong way. So that's really a lot of the themes we like to explore is kind of, especially with this one, just kind of like satire of what social media has become to people, how obsessed celebrity, and you know, it's just so ingrained that this was kind of our way of just like poking back at it. Like this is really stupid looking to everybody from the outside. So
Well, it's cool. It's very much like it's in the same spirit as like let's say National Lampoons or Mad
yeah,
Magazine, you know, where you're like you're parroting this thing in such a way where it's like, wow, that is so recognizable to me. You know, I might have either found myself doing that or I know someone who does that. You know, so
yeah,
it's very clever how you guys do it. The whole showing without telling aspect. Um,
absolutely, yeah.
now, so one of the things I wanted to ask you was, oh yeah, this was a piece of dialogue that I thought was funny where he says business acumen. He's
Yep.
like, I have no business acumen. Like that was just such a like I love vocabulary. So anytime I see some like some some fancy dialogue in a movie, I'm just like, dude, that's great, man.
And he improvised that like a lot of that stuff, and that's his actual girlfriend in when they're talking. and like he improvised like so much with her, and like their chemistry, I mean, they're obviously together, but I mean, she was like so good, and like she just played against him. Like, I mean, that's how they are in real life almost. So it's like every time I would like do a scene, he's like, "You're just like stealing from my life, aren't you, dude?" And I'm like,
Well, they always say write about what you know,
"Yeah,
so it's you know him. And I
yeah,
think it's great that you have this partner in crime to be able to explore the absurdity with. I mean, that's just the
yes,
best thing when you got the yes and. You give an idea and then he's like, "Oh, yes, and maybe we could do this. Oh, yes, and you just keep growing it and growing it.
absolutely."
It's always surprising when you see what kind of directions that could go in, huh?
And it's like that's people as actors. I mean, they're their own artists, so it's like as a director and a writer, it's like I'm going to give you this roadmap, but you feel free to explore anything off to the side. It's just like they they just are brilliant at what they do, and none of it's possible without them. So it's an honor to work with people that are talented, and it's just up to me. It's about having fun. So it's like creating a fun vibe on set. It just comes off so much more natural on film, and it's like when we're filming, it's just pretend like we're not there. I mean,
So are you a fan of the Christopher Guest movies, Waiting for Guffman and Best in Show and that type of?
that's so much of basically that first scene in Best in Show when they're talking to the psychologist and it's all serious and they pan down to the dog. That's probably what's inspired me the most in mockumentaries is that I've heard Christopher Guest talk about that scene where he's like, it needed to, that's how you ground the whole movie is kind of give it this little bit of reality, which is where the girlfriend comes in and the bank office loan officer. It's like you give this absurdity like a an audience basically that's listening to them and like, okay, like whatever you say. So he's a huge inspiration and like that kind of like creating these moments for these characters to kind of be absurd and have somebody just sit there straight face against them, is what was a huge, his style is just, that's really what has always stuck out to me and like hearing him talk about that.
Oh my gosh. And what a brilliant, they have such great rapport, those guys. They're just improv masters,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Anytime
totally.
I see any of those actors in anything, like, oh man, it was so sad when Fred Willard died. I'm like, oh
Oh,
man, it's like the end of an era. And you just, having all those flashbacks of the crazy, what happened? Like in Mighty Wind and
yeah, yeah,
I don't think so. All those like little catchphrases that he's had through the years. And man, it's such a wonderful team those guys are. And
yeah.
like you're saying, they don't break character. They're
Right.
just the straight face. They're not. It's like there's not even this wink to the camera of irony. There's not even
Right.
that of like, look, I'm doing this funny thing. Everybody, are you catching this? But no, they're just so in the moment. And you did a great job with that in your movie, by the way.
And then when we shoot too, we like I don't call anybody by their other than their character name. Like I try to keep everybody, Pete, Austin is Pete for 4 days. Like I don't call him anything else. It's like so that I really try to perpetuate that because of knowing how they work and how successful those movies are. That it's like, yeah, just try to keep everybody in that moment is so important. And I think it comes off, you can tell.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing when it's when the comedy is delivered with such authenticity and such honest, like well, there isn't that idea of like, okay, I'm about to tell you a funny thing right now, but it's just the thing that I'm saying that I'm very serious about just happens to be absurdly ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys do a great job of that. And
Thank you.
that whole like I remember when Waiting for Guffman and then Best in Show and I saw those and I go, wow, I'm so surprised there isn't like a TV show that has this vibe. And then once The Office came out, I'm like, it
Yep.
was only a matter of time. It was
Yeah.
only a matter of time till something like that happened, And you could see the
Absolutely.
direct Christopher Guest influences.
Oh, I mean, he's so just brilliant. Those movies, it's just like it just. I remember the first time seeing like this is Spinal Tap, in like middle school, and just like my mind was blown. I'm like, what? This is like I'd never seen anything like it. And then just continuing to see his movies growing up, it was just like there's nothing else like it that exists, and it's just so brilliant, like just brilliant.
It is such a funny like it's such an unexpected niche, It's such a like a somehow they dialed into this groove that
Yeah.
like no one else was doing. And then once I saw that, I started seeing his influence all over the place. I started seeing it all over the place,
Oh yeah.
commercials, The Office, Parks and Rec. I mean, I could go down the list.
Yeah.
but it's because this idea of like, okay, there's a camera here, but then there are those times where it's like they're doing the scene where it's almost as if they're not even, as if the camera isn't even there. Like, I
Right.
mean, just the whole scene with Best in Show where they're like they're yelling about the little squeaky toy,
Oh yeah.
you know, and where's your busy bee?
PCB.
Oh my god, dude. So if you were to have like a dream project, um, what would be, or people that you'd like to work with? Maybe we already know the answer. Like, who would you like to work with? If you for your for your because your future self already, you're on a great path here with
Oh,
creating great
thanks.
stuff. There's only a matter of time until you're out there and you're kind of a mainstream household name with the stuff you're making. Would you like to work with Christopher Guest?
Yeah,
Any of the team?
Eugene Levy and his son Daniel. I mean, those two are just absolutely brilliant. That would that would be I wouldn't even think I could wake up from that if that was real. But yeah, it's any of those guys. I mean, Parker Posey is so good in that, and Christopher Guest, and it's just yeah, Catherine O'Hara. I mean, they're just national treasures. They belong on Mount Rushmore or something. Like
Absolutely, they are national treasures. Who are some of your other influences? Who are some of the other people that that you've appreciated throughout the years?
um, yeah, I'm a big Christopher Guest fan. Obviously, the guys from Broken Lizard,
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
Super Troopers, like
yeah.
that was a big uh, beer fest. Like that's just that tone. I mean, Adam McKay obviously is like just such a brilliant. Like some of I can't even speak to those movies. Just like totally shaped my life. So yeah, I would say those just to name a few. But yeah, Adam McKay is a big one. I mean, I don't know if you've ever listened to like the director's commentary of Talladega Nights.
No.
It is the funniest thing I've ever heard. He talks about like when they shoot the night scene at Daytona, he talks about how they got a giant tarp and covered the like to make it was actually daytime. And he's like, he just like him and Will Ferrell do not take it seriously. And it is like just the absolute funniest thing. You can tell they're just sitting there for 2 hours just trying to talk about nothing important.
Oh my
But
God, that's
just
great.
but yeah, like just the way that he kind of approaches filmmaking and like it's just so like refreshingly funny and brilliant. I mean, I know he's changed a little bit over the years, but I think that his approach to it and just the way that they work together is, I mean, it's inspiring.
It is. It is. They got great. All those guys. They got such great chemistry, and you're just keep doing what you're doing, man. You found your tribe. You found, and who knows who else is going to be magnetized into that for future endeavors. And
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you so much for spending the time to talk about your
Yeah.
movie today, because this was so much fun. Are there? Do you have any Instagrams or any places you want to send people?
My Instagram, Eric M. Bissel. That's pretty much, you can find everybody else that's in the movie. There's a little link. We're sitting on thecatpsychic.com right now,
Awesome.
which is all of our goings on of Pete Carter's world. So eventually we'll be releasing it online here for everyone to enjoy. So keep checking back. My Instagram has a link to it. So yeah.
God, Eric, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for this Q&A. And everybody watching here at KaPow IFF 2021, please check out Pete Carter, Cat Psychic, and Detective. It's so much fun. It's so lighthearted and just so great.
Thanks.
So thank you so
It was
much,
a
Eric.
pleasure.
And,
It was a pleasure, Kurt. Thank you.
Wow.